Hi guys! As promised, I'm going to do my views on the whole Kesha thing. Like, just how I feel and who's right and who's wrong on Kesha, or kind of. It's not quite as easy as that. But first, before I get into how I view, like, what I think, I'm going to go over some facts about the case because I did a bunch of research yesterday because I didn't just want to be like, hey, this is what I think about Kesha and this is why I think she's right, or he's, or he's right, without giving you any information. And I feel like a lot of it's like a lot of both sides is uninformed information. So I did a bunch of research. I'm going to link the videos below, or the websites below where I got my research off of. So if you want to read what I've read, you can go ahead. And they may not necessarily agree with the articles. I just grabbed purely facts off the articles. Okay, so the first thing is the whole case, if you haven't heard, is that Kesha is suing to be released from her contract because she's alleging rape and abuse from her producer, Dr. Luke. And she's saying he raped her at the very beginning, back in whenever she started a career, and then, or 10 years ago, and abused her to the point of causing her to have an eating disorder. He asked her to release proof, but she said because she is filing for his counter rebuttal, because he sued against her saying that, this is defamation of name, she asked to have that thrown out, so she refuses to release any files on that because she says it's kind of counterproductive at this point. And her team's come out and said that the main point of the original case anyway, was not necessarily about the abuse, but about getting out of the contract because of the abuse. And it wasn't necessarily about whether the abuse was committed or not. She just didn't want to be working with Dr. Luke or any of his affiliated companies, and she wanted full release from the contract because she was worried that if she worked with Sony and wasn't released from the contract and was still forced to work with her, she was afraid they were going to bury her out of spite and loyalty to Dr. Luke, or that is what a source has said. Anyway, that's just a source. And Dr. Luke has denied all allegations against him. And he says it's a ploy just to, get a release from contract. And he's gone back and cited a 2011 deposition that Kesha had made in a separate lawsuit where she stated under oath that Dr. Luke had never made any sexual advances at her or gave her any date rape or cocaine, date rape, drugs, or cocaine. Sorry. And then Dr. Luke's attorney has said that if you look at the files or the reason that she's made it back in 2000, back so long ago, was because you'd see if any, recent stuff shows that they haven't even seen each other in years. And that's why she's made it at a convenient long away period. And this is the official statement from Dr. Luke's attorney. It says, Kesha, who has never reported the allegations to any authorities, chose a convenient long ago time period for the false allegations because she knew evidence would show she and Gottwald have not seen each other in years. So that's what his attorney has claimed, Dr. Luke's, whose last name is Gottwald, obviously. That's what he is saying, that's what the attorney is saying, is they haven't seen each other in years, and that's why because she hasn't, filed any reports previously, she chose a previous time period. And then the judge, and the reason there's a bigger uproar is because the judge chose that the contract still stands, and all the ruling stated is that if Kesha chose to make music outside of those contracts rules, that she is not protected from any legal action that the company might take. Now, what is important is that the contract isn't with Sony, it's with Dr. Luke's company. I don't know how to pronounce it. Hold on. It's with Kimosabi Records, or Kaz Money, which is or Kimosabi Records and Kaz Money. But it has been stated that she never has to work with or in any form with Dr. Luke at any point. That is what they've come out and said, that she does not have to work with him or, you know, in any way meet up with him in a business sense. And the New York Supreme Court ruled that she is free to record and release music without working with Dr. Luke if she does not wish to. And they have said any claim on the contrary is a myth. And Dr. Luke's lawyers also came out saying this. And Sony has come out saying it as well. They've made it possible. Sony's come out saying they've made it possible to record without any connection to Dr. Luke. And Sony was also the one that to release the statement that said they can't release Kesha from the contract because they are not a party involved in the contract. It is between Kaz Money and Kesha. When she signed, because despite the fact that Kimosabe Records is who I think I pronounced that right, sorry if I didn't, who she recorded with, may be a subsidiary of Sony, but the contract was signed with Kaz Money, which belongs to Dr. Luke, so Dr. Luke has to release her from contract. Now, Sony has come out actually having said that they support Kesha in all of these situations, but again, there's nothing they can do other than say that you don't have to do anything, you don't have to work with Dr. Luke or have any connections with him. But she does still have 3 or 4 albums if she does stay with a contract, or she's forced to stay with a contract. She does have 3 or 4 albums left. The article that I read about that, it says it depends on whether an EP she released counts as one or not. If it does, she has 3. If it doesn't, she counts at 4. So there's that. And it's still unclear whether, despite not having to work with Dr. Luke, whether or not she still has to work with Kimosabe Records. If she does, then Dr. Luke will still get a cut of the profits, which is where, you know, there's that issue of, you know, maybe why she wants to be released from contract, because does she still have to work with Kimosabe Records? Maybe that has something to do with the contract, you know, that she has to record with that label because of the contract. That's unclear. I couldn't find any information on that. And what I do want to say is I did read a bunch of articles and I went looking for specific evidence that stated that, you know, what Kesha was saying was true, and all I found was that she did not want to release the records because of the countersue. And Dr. Luke's countersue had been put on pause until Kesha's filed for suing him on rape allegations, which she has also filed to sue him for, has been completed, and that won't be 2017. I think I read that's like his countersue can't go through until a judge convicts whether or not on her side in the rape allegations. But if so, that's the only, you know, so his is still put on pause. So, and then I read the couple of questions I saw in the things was, it's important to remember that when recording companies cite on an artist, they front all of the costs of everything. Like, they're the ones paying for everything. They're paying for the album, they're paying for promotions, they're paying for all of that. And a lot of times, the album, the making and the production of album, the, you know, media and all of that is done well before the album's actually released. So they will spend like maybe $500,000 or whatever prior to the album's release, but they won't make that money until the album hits the public, or like until you start buying it off like the websites and everything. So a lot of times a company will have put up a lot of upfront cost to, you know, protect, you know, to pay for this artist, and then the artist has to so then they put all of the financial risk on themselves as a company. They're doing all the financial risk, and the artist is doing none. And so there's that. And so a lot of the reason why, like, even if it was with Sony, they wouldn't want to let her go is because they've paid for the complete financial cost of everything. You know, there's not, like, they'll lose money if that album doesn't go out. They just straight up lose money on the album if it doesn't make as much as projected, or if the album never got released, they're gonna lose money on it. That's just how it is. So a lot of times, like in this case, a reason that it's so difficult to break the contract is because all of the money that was put into her career then gets wasted. Now, a lot of the questions I saw is the contracts protects against the financial risk, which is why a lot of times it's seemingly in support of the company. But what about the emotional and artistic risk that an artist takes? Should they protect more against that? But there's also the risk of, what if an artist is simply trying to break contract because they realize how big they're going to get and they're going to go out looking for a better deal than the one they currently have? And like I said, there's already reasons why they're reluctant to break the contract. I read in a couple places, there's not only the cost of making her big, like to get her where she is and how much money they've spent on her to this point. There's also, if they're not willing to release, they still see more potential in her. They still see her going a lot farther. And to those two questions right there, the emotional and artistic risk, artists, no matter who they sign with or no matter what they do, I personally feel they're going to be taking a lot of emotional and artistic risk. It's a very cutthroat industry as it is. You're talking about a lot of people with a lot of talent all trying to vie for the same, maybe like couple hundred, you know, singing positions, because we, you know, America as a public's only going to be listening to so many artists at one time as an overall, and not everybody can get big. So there's a lot of, you know, artistic and emotional risk in the industry just by being in it as it itself. Not to say that there isn't anything, and not to say like that contract should be more open to the fact that the industry will abuse, or artists or producers and such will sometimes abuse their, you know, abuse their musicians and such, and there should, and you know, rape and stuff like that. There should be some sort of protection in the contract, but it can't be just like, oh well, this artist is claiming such and such, you know, they should be released from the contract, because at the same time, it's not that unheard of to believe that an artist is going to try to find a bigger and better position or contract than the one they currently have with the industry. And Kesha kind of exploded, so it could, not saying that she is on either side, but Kesha did explode. So maybe that's what she's doing, not saying, like I said, not saying she is, but I kind of, as much as this is the bad opinion and everyone disagrees with it, I kind of have to agree with the not freeing her. I have to agree with the judge. It's, first of all, it's a contract, no rules have been broken. Second of all, as far as I've done, like if there is research that I haven't found, like if there's something I haven't found, if there's evidence I haven't seen, but as far as I've seen, there is no evidence that he actually committed the crime. And until there is evidence, you can't break the contract. You can't just go, oh, well, he has to have done it because she says he did. Just because you like the artist, you don't know her personally. You don't actually know how often she lies in her real life. You don't know how money-grubbing she really is. She's given off a persona that she wants you to see, And not to say that, you know, the persona she gives off isn't her real personality, but it may not be. Like, people in Hollywood and people in the music industry let us see what they want us to see. They build a character that they want us to believe in, and they want us to promote. Or they want to promote because they think that'll get the most views and the world will like that person the most. And again, I'm not saying that she is a bad person, but I'm saying that is a possibility, and it's the judge's job to assume just as much negative as about her as about him. And there has been so many cases, especially recently, especially with that guy who spent 6 years in jail, and the girl just now came out and said that she lied and got him sent to jail on purpose about the rape, so that, you know, because she wanted to spite him or something, and he lost a college scholarship and a chance at a professional football career, or at a football scholarship, and ruined his life completely. It happens. It happens. It does. I know it doesn't, you know, like, there's plenty of cases where it doesn't happen and it's actually what they're saying, but you can't risk that. You have to have evidence and proof. You can't just assume that on a he said. You can't just assume on a he said, she said, because that's what it is. He said, she said. How do you know who's right? You basically go by who you like more, who seems nicer, who seems less sleazy. So, like I said, I'm not saying that he didn't do it, and I'm not saying that she's lying, but I'm saying that you can't just assume that he is the one that's at fault. And you can't break contract for that, because she could end up going out to a different company and doing it. And especially, and a lot of it does depend on whether she's with Chemo Records. If she is with Chemo, like, if she doesn't have to record with Chemo anymore, then she's basically free. She doesn't have to work with him. She doesn't have to work for his company. She can work with anyone she wants in Sony. So go ahead and work with. Just because she's working at the same company doesn't mean anything. Like, you don't ever have to see each other. Ever. Like, that's what Sony's come out and say. You don't have to see each other. You don't have to be in the same room with each other. You're free to work with whoever you like. So you have to realize there is a moment where you can't put all the blame on him without any evidence and ruin Sony, or, you know, make Sony lose millions of dollars and let her off scotch-free. There's a point where she's asking for more than that is necessary. Like, you have to understand that there is evil in the music industry, and it's not just the producers, it's not just the evil monster record companies that are just trying to break people and are doing horrible. No, it is just as much the artists. And so that's my view on it. It's, until evidence comes out, my view may change. If I see evidence proving that she was raped or abused in any way, I mean, I would be much more inclined to believe her if I saw evidence. But until I see some form of evidence, even like if it's a text message saying, you know, something really abusive to her, or, you know, letters or video or anything, you know, I am not inclined to believe her. And on that picture, I have seen the picture where they're saying, you know, where he's like, my artist worked so hard or whatever, that Dr. Luke posted. It's a very, like, I know it's sketchy how he deleted it, but the photo in and of itself isn't very suggestive of anything. It could have easily been in the studio. It looks almost like her head's laying down like that, like she's at a table. I mean, it could have been in a tent, but it kind of looks at the same time like she was at a table. She could have had a long recording shift and took a nap, and he snapped a picture trying to, you know, give her some support. Look how hard she worked. And again, you know, not saying that's what the picture was, but this, I mean, it is sketchy that he deleted it, but the picture in and of itself, the picture in the tagline, it can be interpreted as bad, but it isn't necessarily bad. Like, you know what I'm saying? It's not necessarily that it's wrong or being bad. It's just, it can be interpreted that way. But that is my views on the whole Kesha thing. Leave your comments below. What do you think about it? Again, do you have any evidence that maybe I haven't found? Just let me know what you think. Bye.